Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to do something a little bit different than the usual KI video where I play matches live and commentate over them as I'm playing them. Today I'm going to look back at one of my matches from Combo Breaker. So this match was the first match of the morning on stream at Combo Breaker. It was a Hisako mirror between me and a dude named Silent Sully. Shoutouts to him. And it was a really tough loss for me because it was my first time ever being on stream. That and I thought I had him scouted as a Thunder player. The funny thing is, he used to play Thunder, so I was correct in what I found. It's just outdated information. And he was scouting me too. He found my old KI videos from when I first picked the game up and was climbing to killer. So we were each trying to scout each other. So let's get into this. I'm going to do... I think, first of all, it really helps to record your games as often as possible. I don't get the benefit of being able to look back at my tournament matches too often, since I'm never on stream. But I do often record, like, even the stuff that I don't put up on the channel, I record a lot of my matches and look back and just critique. So let's start into this. First off, I went down 0-3. Let's go into game 1. I started this one off a little bit too frisky. I have a bad habit of doing this. He started off playing the footsies game a lot better. Not sure what I was doing there because it wasn't an anti-air. It was just, I think, a random button. I think I was feeling too nervous off the bat and not really thinking. Now, I had this break just fine, but my next mistake was part of a pattern of mistakes I made several times. Probably one of my biggest problems. Doing it once or twice is justifiable because you don't want to respect people too much. Like, you have to test them and make sure that they can react, and if they can't, you can abuse something against them. But you have to make sure, and typically the first round or the first game is a really good time to establish patterns and try to figure things out. The problem is, I wasn't thinking ahead enough, and I was just throwing shit out there because at this point, like, I'm nervous. All I'm thinking is I've got to get something going or I'm gonna get perfected and trapped in the corner on stream, and that's super embarrassing. I can't let that happen. That kind of becomes easy to predict though and react to what I was doing, and Sully did just that. His reactions were on point. Punished my predictable jump in with berries, gave me enough rope to hang myself, and I tied the noose for him. So at this point, I get perfected on the first life bar, and that is making me increasingly nervous. So I'm doing stupid stuff, stupid shit, out of desperation. I needed to take that short break between rounds and compose myself, but I really didn't, and I went for that jump in again. If I had a clearer head, maybe, I could have seen a few more avenues to approach. I certainly do now. I could have played the ground game. I could have observed that he was actually very willing to stay grounded, so I could have dashed up and shadow influence, which travels a decent bit, plus it's 0 frames after the screen freeze, gives a hard knockdown. It would have allowed me to start my pressure. My other option, and I should always have this in mind, being a Hisako main myself, what do I know that Hisakos hate more than anything? Empty jumps. Jump-ins make Hisakos want to high parry. It's really easy to punish that tendency with empty jumps. Then you go into normals, command grabs, or regular throws. Like, empty jump throw is such a fucking threat for Hisako. That's how you beat a parry-happy Hisako. That option becomes even better when you remember that the very first time I jumped at him just like 10 seconds earlier, he was 100% ready to parry. As he was just now. But I wasn't thinking. So I went for the worst approach and tried a straight-up jump-in, got parried for the second time. This becomes a pattern of poor decision-making, which probably cost me more health over 3 games than any other single element. So I'm feeling increasingly under pressure. I broke mediums again. In a rare moment of clarity, though, I kept in mind that he had gone to mediums twice, so I think the next time I got comboed, I delayed breaking because I felt like he was setting me up to get counter-breakered. Anyway, following the breaker, I shadow RZ in probably one of my most desperate moments because this is my first ever stream match and I already got perfected on a life bar in a mirror matchup, so This was honestly 100% just a YOLO Shadow or ORZ, and it's a habit that I've been breaking myself of, but it's just resurfaced here because I was super nervous. On the bright side, I knew it would be safe from max range, and I had the good idea to follow it up with a parry because I figured he would try to go low into Rekka again, and I was right. As soon as I got that small combo, I felt really relieved, like instantly a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. It didn't let me go on to win, Sully's still better, but I at least offered up a few decent decisions and loosened up a little bit. So at this point, I try to get kind of cheeky with a heavy Tiger Need ORZ because it makes you cross up, and I timed it so it wouldn't hit his wake up, but I would get a grab opportunity. I figured he would be blocking from the other side and he would get grabbed. One of the reasons that I did this empty jump style setup was because I was thinking about the two parries from before. Now in retrospect, I think this decision is okay. It's not great, but I still want to critique it. I didn't condition him well enough to attempt a setup like this. I didn't condition him at all up to this point, because I was heavily on the back foot. So I maybe should have waited to bust this out until game 2 or 3 when it would be less expected. The other thing is I had limited wrap, so I didn't want a command grab. I wanted a regular throw and manual into a small combo. Maybe get another setup afterwards. If I was planning a few steps ahead, I could have ended the combo from before with a hard knockdown, recovered my wrath, and that would let me do my setup. But with an influence command grab and get a combo off of it, like a guaranteed combo. Or I could have just popped Instinct to get that same situation, but all things considered, this is more of a problem with my conditioning, less with the setup itself, I think. Next, he tries to jump hard kick me, which I blocked but I didn't parry, unfortunately. I really should have. I expected him to try to keep it going with a Rekka, so I grabbed. Again, no wrath, no instinct pop. Instead of going for the manual, I neutral jump and catch him again. Not sure what happened towards the end of that combo. I popped instinct and then drop it with, I think, a parry, because I think I was instant canceling to stop him from breaking the shadow without risking the counter breaker guessing game. But then I may have just fucked up an input anyway and hit parry mid-combo, which is just a dumb mistake. Worse, though, was me kind of panic breaking when he gets his combo going. You drop a combo with a messed up input, that's whatever, but then you start like panicking afterwards, that's where it gets bad. Then I think he just had me conditioned to not press a button on jump in, because I jump in and he lets a shadow possession rip that I get hit by immediately as soon as I land. He finishes the round when I go for a Rekka and he parries the second hit, which you can do because the Rekka isn't a true block string, there are gaps. I think he does this at least once or twice more later on. Now, one thing between rounds I wish I had done, I wish I had taken more time to calm down. I was feeling okay coming out of game 1. Like, after the first life bar, I started to calm down a lot. Like I said, the moment I got some damage in, I felt less nervous immediately, but I could have taken more time to think about what went wrong, what my game plan needed to be, maybe to compose myself, because even after I calmed down a bit, it still wasn't a great game on my part. And that's not to take anything away from Sully. I don't want this to sound like, oh, he didn't win, I just lost, like I beat myself. No, he was better than me, but I still could have made that more competitive. Either way, I think Game 2 went much better. I do think that I did a better job keeping Game 2 competitive. I didn't confirm off the crouch medium kick, which is not really a huge mistake. I think both of us were just too tentative to do a raw Rekka cancel. There's another raw Tiger Knee ORZ that he appropriately parried. Still doing that. Wall splatted pretty early to get a setup, but it was the same grab that he had gone for a few times, so it got teched. He gets locked out, hard knockdown ender. My setup was okay afterwards. Since I had shown him the empty cross-up ORZ, I felt comfortable doing the delayed version. This time to hit as a proper cross-up and not like a grab setup, and it worked out. Like, my intuition was right there. Got a combo out of it, he broke lights, then I got parry and bait him with the light linkers. Here, I really don't like my choice to go for damage ender there because it didn't close the round or anything. I got no setup off of it. Then he just finds a low to open me up. And to be honest, I don't like his choice to go for the wall splat in that situation where he had no follow-up. He usually made good use of it, but I disagree with it here. He might have just wanted the corner position, and that's a respectable decision, I guess. And there's just this really ugly scrap in the corner. He winds up blocking the first hit of my Rekka. I hit the second one. He parries between the two hits. This is one of those situations where I should have known better. I really should have by now. I chose to stagger a hit here just because I wanted to see what he would do. With Hisako's, there's always a mind game with staggered normals. Their primary goal is to get people to miss time when they break by delaying the hit, but if they don't fall for it, they can easily break the telegraphed stagger. And Hisako players use that fact as bait. They bait breakers out with easy to break staggers so they can counter break. So you always have to watch that. Sully just goes for it though, he lets it rip. Later in the round, I actually went for that counter breaker following one of the staggered heavies. I got blown up for it. And that again comes down to me not putting the work in to condition him. I only did that once. That's not enough to, that's really not something you should rely on to condition someone. I would be more secure in that decision had I gone for that maybe a third time. But if I had done that twice, I think it would have been more justifiable to go for the counter breaker there. But in this case, it's just me guessing. It's a straight 50-50 and hoping instead of conditioning him and taking an educated risk. So yeah, match 2 was better. I felt decently about it at the time. Upon reflection, there's obviously some critical problems, namely in conditioning and in missing a few conversions, and me still being stubborn. Now for Game 3, I really wasn't actually feeling flustered going into Game 3. It was probably, to be honest, the most comfortable that I felt all set. But I started match 3 off doing stupid shit. I was maybe feeling a little bit too comfortable. The air ORZ was absolutely a bad idea. It got me blown up before. It's a bad habit. I eventually opened him up. I still don't like how often I go to damage ender. I use a few knockdown enders and literally 0 wall splats in this set. I do not work those into my game enough. Luckily, he didn't quick rise after I did possession ender, so I got the meaty crouch forward possession. Another thing that I want to point out about my overall game plan is I really didn't take advantage of my instinct at all in this whole set. I keep noticing how aggressive I'm being, how impatient I'm getting with my wrath, and yet I don't really pop instinct in a way that works with my aggression, so it's just inefficient play. There's a bunch of scenarios where I'm thinking to myself like, oh, I could have backed off for a second to get wrath, or I could pop instinct and get those recaptures, the combos off of influence, the threat of the parry cancels, repeat teleport setups. But I was just tunnel visioning, and that's how I wind up not making good use of my available resources. Then, oh, it hurts to look at this happen. He whiffed a Rekka right in front of me, and I did nothing to whiff punish that. Oh, I really, really could have so bad. I should have secured the life bar right there. That is so bad. Then, another arrow or Z, another really, really bad one. Just did not learn my lesson. There's no reason at all for me to have done that so many times. Game 3 was certainly weaker for me than Game 2, and I think Sully made some, to his credit, some smart adaptations that game that weren't so obvious to me in the moment. So I can point out all these little things I've done wrong, but my biggest takeaways are my setups need work. Some of them were good, but when I employed them was questionable. I was too predictable and stubborn, which is a terrible combination. Again, those getting parried over and over and over and not learning my lesson cost me more health than probably any other pattern of mistakes I made throughout that whole game. 3, I need to make better use of my resources. 4, I can definitely stand to brush up on my ground game because there were plenty of times where I looked kind of shaky. But that's it for my commentary and analysis on my match against Sully from Combo Breaker 2017 in the winner's bracket. I had a short run through losers, wound up against a Maya player who just destroyed me, but I did learn some valuable stuff about that matchup that I was not aware of. Also learned the extent to which my meaty game is not on point. Playing some casuals after that. But that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.